All right, I'm going to try not to spend this entire video dogging on one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, so bear with me. A couple weeks ago, I noticed an article that talked about a new video series being produced by Time magazine called On This Day 1776. Now, as you'd probably imagine, given the title of the series, yes, it's about various events of the Revolutionary War made into like short films to commemorate the 250th anniversary of this place, the United States of America. And two things stuck out to me about this particular article, about this video series. Number one, the series would be produced largely using generative AI, which obviously is a pretty controversial thing right now. The other thing was the name behind the series, like the biggest name behind the series, and that's Darren Aronofsky. Now, Darren Aronofsky, back when I was going through film school in 1998 to 2000, was like the man. In 2000, Requiem for a Dream came out and it completely opened my eyes to filmmaking. I went back and I watched his first movie, Pi, and I love the story behind that. The movie itself is awesome, but the story behind it is great. It was just him with some actors and a sound guy, I guess, with like a 16mm camera, some 16mm black and white film, going around stealing shots in New York City. It's awesome. The movie's great. And everything that he dropped after that, I was a huge fan of. The Fountain I loved. The Wrestler, I still think is like the single greatest pro wrestling movie ever made. I don't think I ever actually watched all of Noah, but I've seen most of it, I think. Black Swan, really weird, but really cool. Mother, super weird, but I really liked it. I never saw The Whale because I feel like that would be too much of an emotional gut punch. I recently saw Caught Stealing. Wasn't really up my alley, but I see what he was trying to do and I appreciated it. And so the idea that Darren Aronofsky's name would be attached to this heavily generative AI thing was really surprising to me because right now generative AI is kind of synonymous with AI slop. I'm not naive enough to think that like filmmaking isn't going to eventually embrace this new technology because that's what filmmaking has always done by necessity. Back in the earliest days of film, eventually they came around to talkies when they got sync sound, CG, et cetera, right? So like there's always been the necessity by filmmakers to embrace new technology. And I get that. And I think it's great. I was explaining to my kid the other day that this phone right here, which I have on like a payment plan or whatever, does like the same job as like 50 people used to do back when I was going through film school, like color labs, like color timing, music, editing, cinematography, like so many things this phone just does. And they used to be very, very high paying jobs. I mean, they're still very, very high paying jobs. But like back then, you couldn't just pick up this thing and do that with. Back in the day when I was graduating film school, the camera that everybody wanted, all my friends graduating from college, was the Canon XL1, which is like $5,000. This thing clears it. And it's like a fifth of the price. This camera that I'm shooting this on is like, I got it for like $800 on eBay. And it's like, it clears pretty much any camera from like even 10, 20 years ago. So I get technology. I get the embracing of technology. But generative AI is such a different thing that I was really surprised. So I did a little bit of research. And sure enough, Darren Aronofsky is incredibly fascinated with what AI could offer up. Here's an article from Deadline from back in May of 2025. Darren Aronofsky's AI-focused studio Primordial Soup has entered into a strategic partnership with research lab Google DeepMind for the exploration of artificial intelligence's creative utilities in filmmaking. Under the partnership, Primordial Soup team will work with Google DeepMind's research team and 3 filmmakers to produce short films integrating new technology and storytelling. Google DeepMind will offer the filmmakers early access to cutting-edge generative video tools, which they'll be able to integrate with live-action photography and traditional VFX. The intention here is to take an open-minded look at AI as a creative tool rather than a replacement of the artist, examining models that will keep artists in the driver's seat. The collaboration will also inform the development of new AI tools, ensuring that emerging technologies align with the needs of storytellers. Aronofsky said this: filmmaking has always been driven by technology. After the Lumiere brothers and Edison's groundbreaking invention, filmmakers unleashed the hidden storytelling power of cameras. Later technological breakthroughs, sound, color, VFX, allow us to tell stories in ways that couldn't be told before. Today is no different. Now is the moment to explore these new tools and shape them for the future of storytelling. So the fact that they really try to emphasize that this is not a replacement for artists, rather it is an enhancement of the artist and what they can do, is obviously the right thing to say. Whether or not it plays out in that way, I don't know. Now, they mention here in the article that the first film under the partnership, Eliza McNitt's Ancestra, will premiere at the Tribeca Festival on June 13th, followed by a panel with the filmmakers moderated by Aronofsky. This film is already available on Primordial Soup's YouTube channel. And it's really good. I watched it. It's like 8 minutes long. It's like 6 minutes long. They got some credits here at the end, but it's really good. And it's mainly live action. It's basically like this lady is giving birth and her baby has a hole in its heart, and she sort of conjures the powers of the cosmos in order to fix it. And along the way, they do a bunch of like little, interstitials of AI generated imagery of, like, for example, this horse being born, and then there's like an ape with his baby or her baby, I should say. There's a, whatever this is, a coyote, I guess, drinking some gross water right here. There's magma. There is like, a baby. There's all sorts of cool shit. But a lot of the interstitials, I think most of them, are clearly generative AI. And the big problem with generative AI, besides the environmental concerns, which is a real thing, but from an artistic standpoint, from a human standpoint, it steals from other artists. And I wish that that's one thing that they would sort of address in all of this, is the ethical concerns about what generative AI uses in order to generate those images. Because up until this point, it just pulls from the internet, which is all information generated by other people, and it does so without their permission. Even though this Ancestor is actually really good, there is the issue of, I'm watching this and I'm like, I should be like deep in emotion during this, but all I can think is like, this magma right here is probably just imagery stolen from a bunch of different places. And like, this looks really cool, but where do they steal it from? That's what I'm thinking. I'm being distracted by that instead of being, pulled into the movie. Now, will that ever change once generative AI becomes like a more ubiquitous thing? I don't know, maybe. But the fact that Ancestor is actually a really good, really quality short film makes it even more surprising that this Time magazine on this day, 1776, is a monstrosity.
I know a man like that.
So from the outset, it has kind of like a PS5 graphics feel to it, which this would not be out of place in like a cutscene in like an Assassin's Creed video game. I think they actually did one set in the Revolutionary War. I played it for a little bit. It was a glitch fest.
Mr. Payne,
Oh, he's so slimy. Is that supposed to be sweat?
I'm glad to see you well, Thomas. Reaching this side of the Atlantic is not for the faint of heart.
Oh, did you notice that all that dialogue was off screen until the very last word?
The battle has begun, yet too many still are unsure of why we fight. So,
Why'd he just mad dog him? So this is where Thomas Paine comes up with his common sense manifesto, I believe.
Oh, ye that love.
Oh, wait a second. Common sense addressed to the inhabitants of a myriad. You notice how they try to do this super quick. Look at that. A myriad. Oh, and then it turns into Americ. Arapago says it's just like poop from a butt. You can really tell that the AI can only put complexity into a scene for a max of 3 seconds in this. Today, I learned AI can't act for shit. This, this obviously, this is very rude, and all these comments are. The humanity is completely and totally lacking. And that's sort of the shocking thing about watching this, especially with Darren Aronofsky's name attached to it, is his movies are such wonderful, deep, brutal explorations of the highs and lows of being human. And what I'm seeing right here in this 1776 series is a complete and total vacuum, a black hole of humanity. It's all just this really weird, slimy, plasticky, gross people doing weird shit. And none of it is human at all. And yes, I think this will probably change. I think 1776 is crawling so that whatever comes next in 5 years or so can run, I guess. Another small interesting thing about this also is there's no credits at the end of this. It's just brought to you by Salesforce. Made in part with AI from Google DeepMind Primordial Soup. What a great logo right there. But there's no credits on this thing. Unlike here, the Ancestra, which does have like full credits for everybody. See, this is where I take issue right here. AI unit, artists. I would love to know what the actual process is here. I really want to know like what the process, what they consider AI art, because in my opinion, it's a contradictory thing. I firmly do not think that entering prompts into an AI, into a Google DeepMind or whatever they're using, like trying to use prompts in order to generate an image that you want. If you just say, I need to see a dude from 1776 saying these words, that to me does not make you an artist. That to me does not say, oh, you know anything about actual art. Art is skill, art is passion. Even VFX artists, I think, are artists because they are building these digital assets either from the ground up or using software that somebody made. They are building things, they are visualizing them. There is something in their head that they are getting out there through the digital medium of VFX. But here's more from Aronofsky about his thoughts on AI from this interview with Days Digital. Says, Primordial Soup is a story company first, but we're interested in playing with new tools. All these AI companies are making models that can make incredible images, but right now those shots don't add up to much. Primordial Soup is trying to figure out, how do you turn those into stories? He's asked if we could see an entire movie from Darren Aronofsky using AI. He says, I'm not sure those tools are ready for full prime time in a feature film. They're getting better. These are tools that can make filmmaking better. Not better, I should say easier. They'll automate the process. If you're doing a film in the 1950s, you can say, give me 100 hairstyles on this actor, and it'll print out 100 different hairstyles instantly. That would have taken days to do. Now you can speed things up. What can you do with that extra time? That's such a tricky situation right there, because typically you would have somebody well-versed in fashion from the 1950s coming up with their own collaborative take on hairstyles from the 1950s. And now Aronofsky is saying, you could just put it in a prompt and say, give me a bunch of stuff from the 1950s, and then it'll do it for you, which, yes, is way more convenient. But goddamn, you're really killing the human element there. And at some point, I wonder if the public is going to, especially these days when there's so much gloom and doom over AI is going to replace every goddamn job out there. At a certain point, if everybody's out of a job because of AI, are they going to turn and be like, oh, I want to watch this movie that has a bunch of AI in it? Or will it get to the point where it'll be so indistinguishable and people simply won't care? Where will the line be drawn? And I guess that's where Aronofsky is trying to figure that out. And I guess kudos to him for number one, having his name be attached to something that is so ill-received, because somebody's got to try new things, I guess. And as he says, some people are afraid to do it, and he's diving right into it. So, on one hand, good on him. On the other hand, I hope we never lose the humanity that is deep and present in Darren Aronofsky movies. By the way, if you want some human-made shit, MF Shop here. I've got a lot of comic books, artwork, prints over there. They're all done by me. No prompts involved. You can take a look at them there. We'll see you guys around.